registration now.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. So at this moment, we have already quite a few contributions, and we have the joint document we're working in that you saw and you commented.
Yeah.
And that document is also available to now about 6 different mentors who are dealing with legal and procurement. So they can also comment. Besides the mentor that was assigned to us by the project, then she is I understand the front-end developer. I don't see any new comments yet. Then we have a Daisy Lab where, we do the visualization of the process. Hey, Massimo.
Hi, Massimo.
And at this point, and Massimo, I think, is working on designing the infrastructure or something similar. Maybe Massimo, you can tell about it. And don't forget you're being recorded. So yes, at this point, I'm wondering what would be the next logical step for the team and for our idea. Do we start shaping the end result because it's tomorrow by 5 p.m. that we need to submit it. So probably it's about time that we start putting it all together, even though maybe we're missing some bits.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Nadia?
But I think we should find a moment in which we are all together at least. And also my question was, I've seen the comment from Massimo and Laxman as well about reducing the scope. So I was wondering if you did something this morning in this sense, and where you are with reducing the scope, or I don't know, just need to understand.
Yeah, well, basically we continued adding, and there were already some notes related to Uber and taxi drivers, but in reality those are also freelancers many times, and so I started describing a little bit more the self-employed. I know that somebody else has been cleaning up the language here and there, so I can see there's a lot of.
That was me.
yeah, and also there are others who added something else. So pretty good stuff. And I think now what I am doing on my own, I am now but I'm doing it with physical post-it. So I'm gonna take a photo then and share it to see what would be the architecture of the model a little bit. And then we could virtualize that eventually. But I think we should go ahead anyway with the steps that Fabrizio set in the process.
So the Daisy Lab.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we have already some Daisy Lab already done. I've seen several already done, and also I don't know if you said because if I understand. Now you are separated and everybody's doing something on its own. Did you decide some deadlines or some fixed time to share what you are doing?
The only call we had with 5 people, which is the group call that we had. We agreed that. On the basic tasks that we can go ahead with, those tasks were completed. So for example, Laxman designed the flow and documented it. Massimo wrote the background information. I what was that? I was doing so many different things that I was doing something as well. So well, besides contacting mentors and team members, and trying to pull things together, I also tried to look for the resources for statistics. So I added some statistics on our target group, and then Michael also added some information about empathy mapping for the joint for the whole group. So that's what was done. We did not agree on any next step because so far we haven't had a chance to get together all at once.
And if I understand you, who is the mentor for you actually?
Well, we were assigned a mentor. Her name is Priya. She's a software developer. So she's a mentor on front-end development. We mentioned it that we might need that, but now we understand that we need it at a much later stage. So I was reaching out to 20 other mentors, asking them if they can give us advice on procurement from government of the temporary tasks, temporary jobs.
But you, as a team, we are supposed to have a mentor in general as well.
Yeah, I think that's Priya, and she is in our Slack group for the team, so you can find her there. I added her. But I think it's fairly self-governing structure, so we need to decide ourselves how we're going to proceed and who's doing what, and at this point we have quite a lot of content. I think we can already start preparing the final document and then just work with that one.
So how can I help you in some way?
Well, I was looking at the post-its in the Jamboard, and we already have some interesting things. I think those that are there resonate already in a similar way. Yeah. So now we have to consider some things. Carlos is in Latin America, so there is a time difference that he will be able to contribute later during the day. Do we want to wait? Carlos will have to contribute, and that's where we are having the conversation in the comments. He probably saw.
I think he said to me he already added his 5 key thoughts to the board.
Let me check.
But wait, when is that notification?
I'm online with him on the WhatsApp. So
okay, all right.
But I also didn't see it. I said, did you place them against your picture?
Also, Priya commented about scope it down to have one use case.
Yeah, okay. So when we say scoping down, do we mean we focus on one target group, or we focus on one target group?
For the sake of the hackathon, you select one.
If we choose self-employed people, we might be, reinventing the wheel, because the platforms for self-employed people are already there, and they're already more or less equipped on how to find their own gigs. I would say they're more equipped than, for example, we have 6 potential target groups: laid off workers, tourism industry workers, food and catering, Uber and taxi drivers, self-employed, and students. If you say self-employed and students are more or less fine because they have experience with, self-employed with finding gigs, and students, they hopefully have some sort of scholarship or support from parents. Yeah. Then we have people in the tourism and food industry, and Uber drivers. So the 3 main industries that were hit by the fact that people are staying in. And those are quite at risk, because there will be no jobs in the coming 2 months, but they might already have debts that they need to deal with. But also a big question is whether they would be a recipient for the kind of system we design. So are they really going to do the clerical tasks? That's the question. Maybe if a person was a hotel receptionist, then that would be sort of similar to what they were already doing. So there's quite a lot of in common between registering a hotel visitor and doing some clerical job. But if the person was, I don't know, a kitchen, working in the kitchen, then would they really want to? So we have to craft a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to work with this target from people from tourism and from hotels and restaurants, because it's true they will be struggling more than other. We have another sector as well, which is events, cultural sector and so on, which will be blocked until at least September. So it's interesting to focus on people that will be stopped in their own work for a longer time than others. That's a good criteria, I think. But then we need to scope even more, probably. And it's true that this kind of task shouldn't be too far from what they do, or what they can do, actually. Because otherwise the economical advantage will be too far. If I need to learn too much things before earning, well, I can't. So
and you can't just start. You can't just start by learning something, right? I mean, it's not. I understand the point from Anirban about that when they enter, they get mentored on how to perform, but it has to be really minimal. The threshold has to be minimal because we are in an emergency.
Okay, so then the question is: are we trying to solve more a governmental problem that the government cannot process all the data coming in, or are we more trying to find the sources of income for the people? Because then it depends, right?
We are trying to help mitigating a socioeconomic catastrophe. That's what we are doing, because this is one of the layers of groups or sub groups of society that is economically quite active. There is a lot of movement. Yeah, it's smaller quantities than the big corporates, but there is a lot of movement, lots of transactions. So it keeps a lot of economy going. You know, the small shops, the ones that are just doing little jobs. I mean, come on, there's no need to explain, right?
And also, I think that we have these two problems you mentioned. And of course, we cannot solve, they are complex problems. So we should not pretend to solve the whole problem, not from one side, not from the other. But probably there is a matching point of the two problems, and this is where we fit. So the more, it's a sort of funnel. So you go deeper and you solve a specific problem. The more we are specific, the simpler will be to build a proper solution. And the more we are specific, the more we will solve the problem, actually, which is from one side taking data, and from the other side, we are people that need to work to earn money. So we are scoping down in some way. We're not solving both problems. So I don't think we need to choose, but we need to really be specific.
Yeah, because we need to try it with a group that is easy to immediately implement, immediately test results. We don't want to start with a group that you have to train them for 3 months before they can be active.
Precisely.
So probably we should try to match which are the key competencies that the task from the government, the data task the government will require, the basic core competence that any task from analyzing the data for the government will require, and then which is the target that has at least, I would say 60-70% of these skills. You see what I mean? So to find a match, let me give an example. If data analysis is about I don't know, give me an example. Data analysis is not my field.
Data analysis is about looking at data and seeing patterns.
Okay, seeing patterns.
Although I don't think they will be doing that. Let's make sure that we understand each other. I don't think the government can actually outsource the analysis of data. It can maybe outsource filling in the Excel spreadsheet with the information that's coming in, or the number of calls that are coming in. There was a comment from our mentor, actually, that wait, let me find it.
Or maybe review documentation based on a flow chart, based on a checklist, for example. That could be another way.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the comments from Priya, from our mentor, is maybe we can choose one segment like government claims or insurance that might be overloaded, that can give a checklist to see if all is there. Okay. For example, to see if all is there is kind of a task. Yes. Alternatively, we can also see if agencies like Red Cross or NGOs need staff to work and in call centers, where they can take preliminary call and register the needs.
So probably we can try to match, for instance, who would be able in this population which is weakened by the situation that earn no money, for instance, people in the tourism, who could be able immediately to take a task from call centering. For instance, people working at the desk of the hotel or people working in the travel agency. They are accustomed to do this kind of job. And then the tricky thing is what they can learn more from the fact that it is not their sector, it's not tourism anymore, it's another kind of data managing or call centering, so they are learning something new. Why I say so? Because the risk, as I mentioned in the document, is the risk that if they are repetitive tasks, they do it only with the money for money, the risk is depression actually. With consequences for their environment, families, and so on.
Plus the isolation, plus the seclusion.
So the idea is maybe we can find a way in our platform so that one start for the money and then learn new things. And the more you learn, the more you can mentor new people coming. So it's motivating. You build a bridge some way. You build links between people. And at the same time, everybody at the end have learned something new that they can spend. This is what I wanted to introduce in my DAISY lab. But there are other comments from other people that enrich this. So we have already something, I think, because we have a platform in which we match people that need to earn money with the needs from the government. So it's a platform to match this, if I understand. Now we just need to build how it works. So the basic loops. I have a need, I need to earn money. So this is the trigger, I would say.
Yeah.
And then what I do, which is the activity I do. I seek for what, or I do what. And then which is the feedback I have. For instance, I earn money, and which is the fact that I come back on top of earning money. So I think that once we have this basic learning loop or dynamic, then we can build the features of the platform.
I wonder if we could introduce also task exchange, maybe in the future. Could be, because if between freelancers, for example, if we all help each other, that also, is a cost avoidance. So it's also equally important, right? In some cases. And I also foresee that there could be some manual tasks, manual jobs that could be included. So
basically, I think what the idea is that we're trying to build TaskRabbit of any kind of tasks for the government. Usually it's the private companies or the people themselves that go and outsource these tasks to freelance platforms or TaskRabbit or something similar. Now we are trying to get government to do that and to avoid the complication of employment and rewards in monetary rewards and the rest. What people can earn is some sort of voucher that
or points or whatever,
or points or something. Yes, correct. So basically, in that system, if we don't scope down to a specific group, but we keep all the 6 groups, because maybe the government will be more it will have more ideas about what kind of tasks it actually needs to be done right now and what it needs helping hands for. Instead of scoping down right now, we just say, there can be a matching mechanism between, if the person can say my previous position is, let's say, a hotel receptionist, and the system already knows these are the functions of that job, or you can choose which functions you were doing from the list, and that it matches you with the task that is most compatible.
Yeah. And then probably it tells you also what you need more as a task, and so what you really improve. And And then next step, so I do the task, I earn my money, my voucher, and what happens?
You can use it in further training, for example, or you can actually use it for something. But now, of course, Carlos, from an economist point of view, he said, wait a minute, voucher maybe is not the best, maybe there's points or other versions. So in the afternoon, I think we're gonna have clarified from his point of view, what are the mechanisms that are the best to use in this type of cases.
Okay.
Because to implement easily, maybe it's just about creating the right contract between a government and a company that has this method of payment and rewarding, you know, without having to reinvent the wheel. Maybe tokenizing is a thing about blockchain, but maybe that could be a different horizon to create an internal market.
And do we have to have a final product in the end? We have how do you call it, a prototype, but probably this is something we can the way to be paid, voucher or something else, this is something we can probably think about it later.
Well, once we can in the meantime design it.
According to the requirements of the hackathon, we have to have a pretty clear description of the problem, what solution do we bring, how it will impact after the crisis as well, what during the crisis and after the crisis, and what do we need for this project to continue. So the list of basically requirements that will be what will be needed, and it says the URL to the prototype and the URL to the pitch video, but the pitch video it says required, whereas the prototype it doesn't say it's required. So maybe at this point, because our idea is not an app, well, at least from our side, we provided the content rather than an app itself.
Yeah, we are designing the system.
Yeah. And then, of course, you know, if you're really going to build it, it needs a little bit of more customer interviews on all the actual customers.
Yeah, but there are some that are so well done already, which would be
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So even so for you, what is the next step, and how can I contribute? Because I will not be able to stay. Unfortunately, I have.
Okay, for me, the next step.
I'm taking part of a training, and the group I'm training with, you know, the IDEO training about human-centered design.
Oh, nice.
And the group is in the afternoon, Saturday afternoon. So this is why I was not able all the time. But if I can contribute, it's with pleasure.
So the next step is that at some point now in the near, and maybe in the next hour or so, we're gonna say, okay, let's move ahead with the second part of the Daisy Lab. So taking the post-it and putting them in the second section, no? The second canvas. So at least we can start advancing more. And at the same time, on the elements that need to be submitted before the Sunday at 5 p.m., we have 8 elements, and I'm planning just to start tackle each one and start creating.
I think what I'm gonna do for that, I'm gonna you know, at the same document at the very end, I'm just gonna create, you know, the submission and the titles they ask for, and then we just start copy pasting and formatting the way that they need it. And because we've done quite a lot of work as a group already, so the co-creation has been happening, and it's very nice to see. And I think we have enough to fill it in for the moment.
I think so. Yeah. Okay. So I will connect back to see the next step of the Daisy Lab. I think probably you should probably already start, and then next step will be just to check with people if they improve with their own post-it.
So you're basically giving us authorization to take your post-its and duplicate them in the second. Yeah. We are not going to move the existing post-it, and then we are going to try to see according to the exercise of the second part, which is to grade them in sequence.
But for me, there is no problem in moving my post-it. This is the purpose, having post-it to move. So don't hesitate to take my post-it and move them. And of course, I think it's the same. I can't speak for the others, but according to the deadlines, I think we should move on with the Daisy Lab. And then if people really see that there is something wrong for them, we go back and remove according to what people think. But I think at this time we should move on with the Daisy Lab.
Safe enough. Yeah. And on the 8 elements there, including the prototype, each videos and so on, but there are some others that we can start working on. For example, the solutions impact to the crisis, and the necessities in order to continue the project. And these things I can start working on them, and then anyone is free to connect.
But I think the project is great because it really responds to the points you mentioned, Julia. Because during the crisis, it provides money. And at the same time improve skills, and after the crisis can create some mobility in the professional position of people. So we give money, at the same time we solve the governmental problem, and at the same time we prepare for after the crisis with new skills for people, which is not that I would say IT skilled or data skills and so on.
And if you find an efficient mechanism to allow government to actually outsource these things easily, because if you don't outsource the whole project, that maybe the part that's the tiny part you outsource does not have to have such GDPR protection as confidentiality agreements or anything like that, because it will be so small that would make no sense without the whole thing.
Yeah,
maybe, I don't know. And potentially that can also actually reduce the overhead costs in the organization, but that's already going beyond.
Yeah, I would not play with that because now the horizon is very narrow for everybody because of the emergency.
Yeah.
And also, so it becomes a dangerous topic automatically because you risk that the attention, instead of what we have to do now, is into something that will happen, who knows when. So good.
Okay, so probably we can also make a statement somewhere where we say here are the condition for success. For instance, that the government gives enough elements or share enough information, things like that.
Factors.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. So I will connect back later.
Thank you very much, Nadia.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing.